You're watching Alabama News Network at 10 from your local news leader with Stephanie Hicks, Daryl Hood, Chief Meteorologist Ashley McDonald, and Sports Director Bo Carter. Alabama News Network is on CBS 8 and ABC Montgomery.
Rarely does a person's journey through life intersect with many major moments in history. For former longtime CBS News photographer and Prattville resident Clarence Gibbons, that has definitely been the case. It was through the eye of his camera that we were able to witness some of the most life-changing events in modern U.S. history, including pivotal moments in the civil rights movement. He is the subject of this Alabama News Network Extra, Witness to History.
This is what I'm working on, but just by hand.
Former CBS Network News photographer Clarence Gibbons has seen a lot.
And this crowd of guys here, we're standing here. I was privileged to go places and do things that you couldn't buy a ticket to do, regardless how much money you had.
Go and throttle up.
The retired newsman was there when the Challenger exploded. He recorded the video of the shuttle coming apart in mid-flight. He was also there when civil rights icon Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his last speech in Memphis the day before an assassin took his life. Did you record that video that we see all the time?
Yes. His last speech was something to the effect is, "We have been to the mountaintop. You all will see the other side."
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Like a man that knew he was getting ready to die.
Gibbons was based in the South and covered much of the 1960s civil rights movement for CBS. He didn't cover Bloody Sunday or the first Selma to Montgomery March because he was in the Navy at the time, but for many of the events that followed, he was there.
We were assigned to Martin Luther King doing most of his rounds, wherever he was, because there were so many death threats. And the FBI and our own FBI was doing their thing on Dr. King, trying to find out if he was a communist or what he was.
Did your skin color play a role in what you could and couldn't do?
At times it did, because say, for instance, I'd go into a little town, small town, Mississippi. White people over there would look at me and with disdain, and my partner, and what are you doing with these people? What do you mean, what are we doing with these people? I said, this is a free country. This is what I was in the service for, to help it be free.
Gibbons says while covering many of what are now considered defining moments in our nation's history, often it wouldn't even occur to him that he was witnessing history in the making.
That the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
You're too close to it to realize how big it is. We never rewound and looked. We'd shoot it and pass it on.
As we approach the 50th anniversaries of the Selma to Montgomery March and the signing of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 into law, Gibbons says the country has come a long way, but the journey along the path to equality is not over.
I hate it had to go on. I would love for things to have happened on their own. I would love for people here decide, hey, all this is wrong, let's make it right, rather than have to be told and forced to and all that stuff.
And of course, I could talk to Mr. Gibbons all day. I actually asked him why we only seem to see the same video clips every year when we commemorate anniversaries of certain events. He says because so much of what happened during the 60s was shot on film, whatever clips landed on the cutting room floor were usually swept up and thrown away. So the video clips we see are usually those that aired during the newscast back then, and that's what made it to the archive.